I no longer find my wife attractive. This isn't a dramatic line from a sad movie. It's a real confession from Mason, 76 years old, after nearly 50 years of marriage. And he's not alone. More and more older men are quietly saying the same thing. They don't feel the connection anymore. They don't feel the closeness. Sometimes they even feel irritated when they're with the woman who used to mean everything. Does this mean love is gone? Not necessarily. But one thing is clear. Marriage, like people, changes over time. Welcome to Life in Words, where we listen, we understand, and we gently heal relationships that have walked a long road. In today's video, we're going to dive into a tender, rarely spoken truth. Why do many husbands feel more distant from their wives as they grow older? Where are you watching from today? Please share your city or country in the comments. We read every single one. And if this topic touches something inside you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's walk this emotional journey together, one understanding at a time. Reason number 1. When physical attraction is no longer the bridge. The first reason many older husbands grow distant from their wives lies in something few are willing to say out loud. Physical attraction is no longer what connects them. It's not just about not feeling attracted to their wife anymore. It's also about no longer feeling like themselves. They don't feel strong. They don't feel desirable. They don't feel like the man they used to be. Ronald, 72, once admitted quietly, "I still love my wife, but I don't feel that closeness anymore. And I have no idea how to say that to her." Many older men feel the same way. They don't hate their wives. They're just facing a quiet grief, the loss of their youthful energy, their identity, their confidence. And most of them were never taught how to talk about these changes. So they stay silent. They pull away. They avoid hugs, avoid conversation, avoid going to bed at the same time. Not because they stopped loving their wives, but because the bridge that used to hold them together is fading. And they don't know what to replace it with. Psychologically, many men connect love with physical desire. So when that fades, they feel lost. They don't know how to love in another way. And if no new bridge is built, one made of kindness, respect, and shared memories, then distance begins to grow. But here's the truth. Even if the spark disappears, the warmth of kindness can stay. Even when touch becomes rare, a simple, loving glance can still hold deep meaning. If you've ever felt yourself or your partner drifting apart in this quiet way, please leave a comment with the number 1. One number may open a door to healing. Because losing physical attraction is not the end. It's a signal. A gentle nudge to start building a new kind of closeness. One that's deeper. One that lasts. Now let's move into another tender space, where silent hurts begin to build walls between two people. Reason number 2. The quiet wounds that make men shut down. When a marriage starts to hurt, we often assume it's the wife who suffers most. But men hurt too. They just do it quietly. Gregory, 70, lived with the woman he loved for decades. But little arguments, quiet complaints, and long silences slowly made him retreat. One day, he realized he didn't want to explain anymore. Didn't want to talk. Didn't want to try. Why? Because many men grow up in homes where emotions were never welcomed. They were never taught how to say, "I'm hurt," or "I need to be understood." So when they feel criticized, they shut down. When they feel disappointed, they pull back. And when they feel ignored, they go silent. At first, they try to talk. But if they feel unheard or misunderstood, They stop, not because they don't care, but because they don't feel safe. This is called emotional disconnection through silence. It doesn't come with yelling. No tears. Just a slow fading. And the wife may think everything's fine because he never complains. But in truth, that silence can be the biggest red flag. If she doesn't notice or thinks the quiet is normal, the emotional gap will keep growing. You may have seen this happen before, a man who stops talking in his own home. Or you may have felt the pain of speaking but never being truly heard. If you relate to that, leave a comment with the number 2. Sometimes, even silent acknowledgement can start to heal something broken. The first step to healing isn't an apology. It's realizing something inside has quietly begun to drift away. Next, we'll move into a deeper space, when two people still live together, but don't really feel close anymore. Reason number 3, when familiarity turns into loneliness. They still live together. Still eat dinner side by side. Still ask, "How was your day?" But deep down, they're no longer truly connected. It's the feeling of living with someone, but not being part of the same world. Patrick, 76, once shared something quietly heartbreaking. "We're still married, but I don't feel like talking anymore. Every day feels exactly the same." That is the clearest sign of emotional loneliness. In the beginning, everything felt alive. A glance, a word, an afternoon walk holding hands. But as time passed, those moments disappeared, buried under work, children, responsibilities, and no one even noticed when they were gone. Familiarity used to bring comfort. But over time, it can become a quiet cage. Conversations turn shallow. Hugs fade away. And instead of living with each other, they begin to simply exist beside each other. What makes this more painful is that most men don't know how to say, "I feel lonely." They won't say, "I feel empty." They just spend more time alone. Stay longer in their rooms. Avoid eye contact. Keep their feelings locked inside. Eventually, the distance grows so wide, they confuse that emptiness with not loving their wife anymore. But it's not that love is gone. It's that they no longer feel seen. No longer feel understood. A relationship can survive the years if both people make the effort to stay emotionally close. But if silence takes over, even love can quietly disappear in the background. Have you ever lived with someone but felt emotionally far apart? Whether it was a spouse, a parent, or a friend, if you felt that way, leave a comment with the number 3. Sometimes, simply sharing your experience helps someone else feel seen. Because loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. It often means not feeling understood by the one sitting right next to you. But emotional connection can be rebuilt with a kind word, a soft glance, a gentle touch. Now let's move into a deeper moment, the quiet turning point when a husband not only questions the marriage, but begins to question his entire life. Reason number 4. The midlife crisis and the questions with no name. Not everyone sees it coming. But one day, the man you've lived with for decades becomes quiet, distant, hard to understand. It's not because his body is getting weaker, not because his love is fading. It's because inside, a quiet storm is rising, a wave of questions with no answers. Charles, 68, spent his life working hard, raising kids, providing for his family. But one morning, after retiring, he looked at his wife and asked himself, "Is this really the life I chose?" This is what we call the midlife crisis. And it doesn't come with shouting or drama. It builds slowly. Regret, sadness, confusion. And the closest person, his wife, becomes the outlet for all those tangled feelings. He doesn't blame her, but in his mind, she becomes the symbol of everything that feels stuck. He starts to pull away. He questions the choices he made. He wonders what he missed, what he still wants. During this time, many older men long to feel alive again, to say yes to the things they never dared. But they don't know how. And if there's no space for honest conversation, no understanding from both sides, the wife becomes part of the life he's trying to escape, even if she's done nothing wrong. The heart wants stability, but it also wants freedom. And that conflict tears him in two. You may have seen someone you love go through this. Or maybe you've felt it yourself. If so, leave a comment with the number 4. Your story might help another person feel a little less alone. Because a crisis isn't the end. It's a signal. Something inside is asking for change. Not a new house. Not a new partner. But a new way to live. Together. Next, we'll explore an even quieter shift. When two people no longer share the same rhythm, the same lifestyle, or the same values. Reason number 5, when lifestyles and values no longer align. They still share a home, still call each other husband and wife, still hold memories from a lifetime. But one day, the husband realizes they're no longer living in the same world. Frank, 73, once said, "I still love my wife. But every time we talk, it feels like we're speaking 2 different languages. The things I care about, she doesn't notice. And what brings her joy, I just can't connect with anymore." There's no big argument, no sudden event. Just 2 people who, over time, have quietly started walking in different directions, in how they think, how they live, and what gives them meaning. Aging isn't just about wrinkles or gray hair. It's about returning to your true self. At this stage, many men begin asking, what do I still want to experience? What have I left behind? Can I live differently now? He wants to try something new. She prefers the comfort of routines. He wants to travel. She wants to stay near the grandchildren. He wants morning walks. She enjoys quiet mornings with a book. Little by little, their rhythm falls out of sync. Conversations feel forced. Time together becomes shorter. And one day, the husband thinks to himself, we don't have anything to talk about anymore. Psychologists call this growing apart through personal evolution. Both people are still changing, but no longer in the same direction. And the man begins to feel lonely, even while sitting next to the woman who once meant everything. He may not know why. He just knows. He doesn't feel like himself around her anymore. And when you don't feel like yourself, how can you love freely? Have you ever been in a relationship where it felt like the 2 of you were drifting apart? Or tried to reconnect but didn't know how? If so, leave a comment with the number 5. Your experience might be the light someone else needs to find their way back. Differences don't end love. They remind us that listening matters more than ever. Not to change each other, but to understand the path we're each walking. Now, let's move into something even more delicate. the emotional weight that many older men quietly carry, financial stress, and the identity loss after retirement. Reason number 6. When financial stress and retirement worries break the bond. No more work to wake up to. No more job title. No more paycheck arriving like clockwork. Many men look forward to retirement, thinking it will bring peace. But instead, they face an unexpected question. Who am I now? Douglas, 71, had been the provider for over 40 years. But after retiring, he quietly admitted, I wonder if I still matter. If I can't bring in money, will she still respect me? Financial stress isn't only about numbers. It's about losing control, about feeling invisible, about wondering, what value do I bring now? When income drops, when medical bills rise, when prices climb higher each month, men don't just feel anxious, they feel powerless. But they don't talk about it. They don't want to worry their wives, so they keep it all inside. And that silence turns into distance. A wife might gently ask, how should we handle the budget this month? But to the husband, it can sound like blame, like he's not doing enough. So he pulls back. He disengages. He isolates. Psychologists call this a post-career identity crisis. When a man loses the role that defined him, he starts to lose his sense of self. And without emotional support, that confusion slowly erodes the connection in his marriage. What hurts the most is that the man who once carried the weight of the family now needs someone to hold him, but he doesn't know how to ask for that. Have you seen someone close grow distant after retirement? Or felt how money worries have changed the love in your relationship? If so, leave a comment with the number 6. Your voice might help someone else feel understood for the first time. Because what men need most in this chapter of life isn't a bigger savings account. It's the feeling that they still matter. That there's still enough. A kind word. A soft hand on the shoulder. A simple question. How are you really doing? Those small gestures can bring a man back from silence. Back to love. Back to himself. And sometimes, what pushes him the farthest away is the most fragile thing of all. The quiet pain of no longer feeling wanted. Reason number 7. When physical intimacy fades and a husband no longer feels desired, there's a kind of sadness many older men carry in silence. Not because they don't feel it, but because they don't know how to say it out loud. It's the feeling of no longer being desired, of no longer being seen as a man in the eyes of the woman they love. Lawrence, 74, said this with quiet honesty. I don't blame my wife. We're both getting older. But it's been a long time since she touched me. No hug. No kiss. Not even a gentle hand on my arm. I don't need much. Just something to know I still matter to her. Aging brings so many changes. Testosterone drops. Medications dull desire. Chronic pain makes the body ache. But the deepest pain doesn't come from those things. It comes from feeling invisible, unwanted. He lies beside his wife each night. But between them is silence. no closeness, no warmth, no sign that he is still loved in the way he once was. So he stops trying, stops reaching out, avoids bedtime, avoids eye contact. Not because he doesn't care, but because he fears rejection. He pulls away first to protect himself from hearing no. Psychologists call this emotional self-protection. When someone feels ashamed of their aging body, they hide. When they fear they're no longer wanted, they stop asking. And sadly, many wives believe their husbands simply aren't interested anymore. But often, the opposite is true. They still long to feel close. They just don't want to be a burden. One gentle touch, a whisper, "You're still the man I love," an unexpected hug. That's all it takes to make him feel seen again, valued again, loved again. Have you ever seen someone pull away because they no longer felt desired? Or have you ever felt invisible in your own relationship? If so, leave a comment with the number 7. Your words might help someone else feel less alone. Because love doesn't have to be loud. It just needs to be real. It needs to be present. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. To find hope again, even after so many quiet years together. Conclusion: when a husband says he no longer likes his wife, when an older man says, "I no longer like my wife," it doesn't always mean the love is gone. More often than not, that love is still there, just buried. Buried under the weight of time, of old wounds, of long silences and unspoken fears. Marriage therapists say emotional distance in later life is not the end. It's a message, a signal that it's time to reconnect, to rebuild, not with big gestures, but with quiet courage. At this stage, the husband might be afraid of being left behind. The wife might be trying her best, but no longer knows how to reach him. The good news is, happiness doesn't live in the past or in some far-off future. It lives here, in the present, in the choices we make every morning to listen, to be kind, to hold hands again. Even as the years grow short, we can begin again. With a glance, with a word, with one loving touch. If this message touched something in you, please share your story in the comments. How has your marriage changed over time? What's been the hardest part for you? Your voice might help someone else find the strength to speak. And if you found this video meaningful, please tap the like button and share it with someone who needs it. Don't forget to subscribe to Life in Words. Here, we honor the emotions, the lessons, and the quiet strength that carry us through this chapter of life. We can't turn back time, but we can choose every day to begin again. With a hug, with a word, with love. Take care of each other, because love is always worth the effort.